Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working together through the ABRSM Theory Grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets and you can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You'll also find a page there with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also find out about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and hints on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to make the best use of your time on exam day. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be really super, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. And so now we're going to look at the last question in the last paper. So if you turn right to the back of the booklet, and we'll have a look at question 8 of the specimen paper from 2014 for grade 3. And so all of the questions will be relating back to this little extract here. And the first part of it is another example of how from 2018 onwards the newly revised exam layout will have these musical terms and performance directions presented to you in multiple choice format. However, I do suggest that you just go ahead and give these their full definition because it's a really great way of revising. And don't forget as well that this is all of the grades accumulated. So it's all of grade 1, all of grade 2 and all of grade 3 performance directions. So there's quite a lot to be going at there. So if you haven't done so already, I do suggest that you just have a go and test yourself and try all of these questions, and then we can look through them together. It doesn't matter if you go wrong, always write in pencil and you'll learn through making those mistakes much more thoroughly than just if you passively copy it through with me. So I'm hoping you've had a go of this and we'll work through this together now. So maestoso literally means majestic, or I guess you could say stately. That would be okay. So either one of those, probably majestic is the more popular one that will be presented to you as a multiple choice option. Now here, this word here, assai, means very, or I guess you could say extremely. So we're just quantifying here. So this direction here, we've a few points to make sure that we get covered. We've got the unit of beat and we've also got this number to incorporate also. So what we need to make sure, we first came across this in grade 1 and now we need to incorporate this dotted crotchet beat as well now in grade 3. So this literally means 104 dotted crotchet beats, or if you use the alternative terminology, you would say dotted quarter note beats, and that is per minute. So it gives you a very precise tempo direction, so you know exactly how fast this is meant to go. This SF means forced. And this symbol here, again, we came across this in grade 1, and that's an accent marking. So that's an articulation mark telling us to play this note accented or with a little extra pressure. So there we go, that's that done. Let's move on to the next question. So we're going to answer these questions, but still referring back to this piece of music. So very helpfully, we're told that the melody is in the key of A major, and we need to name the degree of the scale of the last note of the melody here. So there are two ways we can go about this. If we're in A major, we know that A is the tonic or the first. We're in bass clef, so we know it's good boys to say football always, there's A. And so long as we remember to count A as 1, we've got A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. We know that that's a third. Alternatively, if you're not sure and you get confused and sometimes you forget to count that A as number 1 as the first degree, what you can do is just sketch out the steps of the scale. that's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. And of course I know that there's sharps here, but your key signature will take care of that, so we won't worry about that. And we can see that this is a middle C, and so there we go, we can see that C is the third, so we can double check it that way. There we go then. So now, which other key has the same key signature as A major? So what they're asking us for here is to name the relative minor key, the related key in the minor key which has the same key signature. And so there's nothing for it but just to revise these pairs of keys. Alternatively, you can write it out as a list just before you start and write out your pairs of keys if you follow the principle of writing out the circle of fifths. If you're not sure how to do that, there's a video that I've done explaining how to do that, and you'll find the link to that in the cards and the description. However, it's enough for now to know that the related key to A major is F sharp minor. So they just need a little bit of revision there. Now then, a bit of maths to go on here. How many semiquavers or 16th notes is the first note of bar 5 worth? Oh, wrong, bar 5. That's bar 5. Same note value, but there we go, we're an octave higher. So here we're looking at this one. So we've got a dotted crotchet, a dotted quarter note here. So I'm going to just sort of diagram out. So first of all, I'll look at the crotchet, which we know divides into 2 quavers, which divides into 4 semiquavers. However, we know that it's a dotted crotchet, and so it's going to be half as much again. So we've got an extra 1 quaver, and half as much again gives us an extra 2 semiquavers. So how many semiquavers is that note worth? And we can see it's 6. There we go. So now then, let's look at this next one. Answer true or false to this statement. There are 2 pairs of tied notes in this melody, so let's see what's going on here. Now the tricky part of this is to make sure we can tell the difference between a tied note that joins note head to next door note head of exactly the same pitch, and that's a timing issue, that's a rhythmic symbol, and it's just literally adding those note values together. However, that symbol is the same shape as a slur, but that's differently applied where it's joining together 2 notes or more of different pitch, and that literally means to play it smoothly. So they are legato, they are slurred. So that's a slur, that's a tie. So we've got 1 there. That's a slur because they're different pitch. That's a slur because they're different pitch. That's a slur because they're different pitch. We're going from an E to a D. However, here we've got a B tied to a B, so that's another tie. That's a slur, it's different pitch. That's a slur, it's different pitch. So there are 2 pairs of tied notes, which is what they've suggested, and so that is true. So now we need to look at the time signature. We need to say, is it compound or simple time? And then how many beats per bar? 2, 3 or 4, duple, triple or quadruple. So 6/8 is a compound time signature, and we know that because we can see it's grouped into 3s, whereas simple time divides into groups of 2. So this is a compound time signature, and we've got here in 6/8 2 groups of 3. If we just sort of expand that out, we can see that there are 2 groups of 3 to our time signature. We can see there 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 because of the dot. And so we can say it's compound time, and there are 2 groups of 3, and so it's duple. There are 2 beats per bar, so it's compound duple. There we go. Now then, this next one, we've got a bit more notation and manuscript to write. So write out the melody from the beginning of bar 1 to the end of bar 4. However, we need to change it to an octave higher, so we need to change the pitch, and we also need to change the clef. We're moving from bass to treble. Now in the actual exam, the blank stave will be positioned here so you can easily see what's going on, but for now we're going to have to just shuffle up and down the page. We're going from the beginning of bar 1 to the end of bar 4, and so just glancing up the page, I'm going to do my very best to keep this reasonably aligned. So I'm just glancing up at the top of the page, and I can see that's the end of bar 4. So although they've given us this extra bit of stave, I'm not going to use it because I want to make sure I can keep track on where I'm going. I don't want to get lost. It's tricky enough glancing up to the top of the page here. And also I want to make sure it's all properly spaced, and I'll just follow their example. So now we've got our bars mapped out, and to make sure we get the correct octave, keep middle C as an anchor point, and we can see that with the E below middle C here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so to go an octave higher we now need to move to the E above middle C. So we're going above middle C now, and so here's middle C in the treble clef, and so the E above that will be here, and so we've jumped our octave and we've changed clef. So now we're going to have to make a few decisions about stem directions and so on. So I'm going to just put these note heads in place and just follow this and make sure I get the notes in the right place, and then I'll worry about the stems afterwards. It's best just to take things one step at a time. So we can see the E moves up a step to F, so E moves up a step to F. Then it's the same note again, and then we can see we're actually moving at 1, 2, 3 to the A, 1, 2, 3 to the A. That's dotted and tied, so I can see the stems are going to go down, but you could put the tie in afterwards once you've figured out where the stems are going. Now here you can see we're going right back to the E, and we can just double check the distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can see that everything's still okay. We've gone back to where we started, then we're going back to the A that we were on. So this is bar 3, so I can just see where I'm going. Up a step, up a step. Now here, this C that I'm writing here is the C above middle C, 1 octave above, and this is middle C, so I know that I'm correct because now I'm an octave higher. Next door step, and then down 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 takes me back to the C. Dot that, down a step takes me to the B. That's right, and then a rest. So that's all the thinking done. Now we've got to do the stems, and so because this is below the middle line, these stems will have to go up. These stems will have to come up. Now here, this will come up. This one can go either way. These will have to come down, so I'm just going to turn it round straight away. You can do either way on that one on the middle line. These stems will have to come down. This one could go either way, so I'm just going to keep it down in keeping with the rest of the notes in this section, but that could go either way really. There we go. So now make sure I've got my tie here. And there's no more ties. Now there are some articulation marks. If you want to put those in, by all means you can do. However, we're not really being marked on those. We're just making sure we've got the correct pitch for this clef. So there we go. I think that will do. That's the end of that question, and that's the end of that paper. I do hope that's helpful to you. I hope it's helping you with your studies. I also hope that you're enjoying it. I'm certainly enjoying working through it with you. If you can give me a like, that would be really super, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in the pipeline. Please also do visit sharonbill.com and make use of all of the information that's available to help you there. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.